any chance have a copy of the thing we're discussing for the workshop, do you? At 5?
Well, let's see what she's providing here. It's been a day.
I forgot to print it out. If not, it's no worries.
Let's see what she printed here for the workshop.
Well, it's kind of a last minute thing, so you may not have it.
I don't think I did.
I think it got emailed out to them.
And not provided otherwise. Sorry.
No, it's fine.
Yes, you would be right. It would be considerably less. You ready, Robin? Yes. Okay, so we'll go ahead and begin. It is just after 5 p.m. So we do have two workshops this evening. Our first one is some discussion regarding the Downtown Parking Advisory Board. As you're aware, there's been a group that did meet. I know Councilor Register and Councilor Doty was in on some of those meetings as well. And this would be looking to more codify that in regard to creating a Downtown Parking Advisory Board. So here, appreciate Robin being here. I know that she had sent out kind of that final draft for your review, and so here just to kind of present that and get feedback from the council in regards to creating this board. It would be something similar to the airport advisory board that we have that would review, if there was issues that came up with downtown parking, things of that nature would go to this advisory board. They would make recommendations to the council for your final decision. So with that, I'll turn it over to Robin, and then we'll have any questions, and again, discussion and guidance in regards from the council, the direction you'd like to go.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Mayor and council members. Like the mayor said, I sent out the email with the final draft of it. It's pretty basic. It just kind of follows the same format as our other boards and commissions, where you can have a certain number of members. It does have specifics in there that you want a lot of these to be community members on there, and then we'd have some representation from city council in there as well. They would meet, according to the ordinance, they'd meet quarterly at a minimum. But they could call special meetings more frequently if they need to. That's pretty much all there is to it. It's pretty basic. So, and basically they would discuss anything that has to do with downtown parking and make recommendations, and then those recommendations could come back to the council for final decision. But they would make those recommendations as an advisory board. So I guess I'm just here for any questions, or we're looking for direction to staff on if there's something you'd like to see come forward for council's approval, if there's changes that you want to make to the language. So I guess I'm just open for conversation.
Questions? Councilor Stoddard.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So do we have an idea how many bodies we'll have on this committee?
I believe, and I'm sorry, I did not print it off, Mayor. I'm actually on vacation this week, so I did not print it off. I apologize for that. I believe it's 3 to 7 is what we had in there.
And you said there'll be a mixture of like businessmen downtown and taxpayers and somebody on the council?
I believe, Mayor, do you have a copy of that? I'm sorry. Yes.
But no private citizens?
I didn't see anything that indicated that, no.
I don't
Okay.
think we put that in there, but again, this is discussion with council. If that's something that council desires, we can add that in there, that there are, a couple members that are private citizens that are not owners or operators in downtown. We could certainly do that.
I'd like to see it. Now, didn't we have one before? Yeah, what happened to that? What happened to the group before we?
So after the parking meters were removed, I had decided that it would probably be better to be part of the solution instead of just complaining about the problem. So just so everybody's aware, I made a small informal community group. We had business owners, community members, people who had differing opinions on it, on both sides of it. And we met a couple of times. We were making some headway. We put out a survey. We could not get support from the city as far as the survey was concerned. And then the next thing I heard, we were doing an official committee instead. And so my opinion on it is I do think there should be community members on it. However, for me, I will still meet with my small group and offer any opinions that they give me to council. So I feel like if the city wants to take it away from the community and give it to business owners who already have, I think, they have a BID or some kind of group that already comes together, that's totally their prerogative, but I will still continue to do what I set out to do.
And Mayor and Council Register, these would be public meetings, so the people that you're meeting with would be more than welcome to come and participate during those meetings as well.
Yeah, the intent of the group was for it to be informal and not controlled by the city.
Gotcha.
So I think any feedback that we get, when we have a group meeting, will just be shared with the council and they can take it for what it's worth. And I think they could be more productive than quarterly that's controlled by the city, where the council's not really involved, but kind of sitting back and watching. So
Okay.
certainly the city can do what they want, and then so can everybody else. Appreciate
And
that.
Councilor Stoddard, just to your question, so I did find it, it is in here, so the appointed board members, it does state citizen of Caldwell, so that is in there for that.
Okay.
I think that'd be important.
I saw, there we
Well,
go.
Mr. Mayor, I was
Yeah.
going to make that point of clarification also, but I have a couple of questions, if that's okay.
Yeah,
So Robin, I think Destination Caldwell probably bumps into downtown users and downtown businesses frequently, probably more frequently than the city does. Do you have contact with downtown businesses, downtown business owners? How much interaction does planning and zoning have with that downtown area?
Sure. Mayor and Councilor Dittenberg, we have that interaction actually more through our parking officer that goes around downtown. She does frequent in downtown and she does talk to business owners in downtown. The other thing is during business licensing, or if somebody they're changing a tenant or something, they come in. But we don't have probably as much interaction as Destination Caldwell does on a daily basis.
Another question, if I may?
yes, please.
So, does this kind of function or this oversight of this advisory committee do you feel like it fits with planning and zoning, or would it fit better with the police department now that the chief isn't here to, defend himself? Or where is the natural fit for a parking advisory committee? Because somebody's gonna have to be the custodian of the records, and I assume that some department will be the custodian of those records.
Sure. Mayor and Councilor Dittenberg, I think right now it fits fine within community development because parking falls under community development, and so does our code compliance officers. So, and whenever this parking committee, if it is adopted and it's put into place, whatever regulations they have will be then codified, and it will be enforced by our parking officer and/or our code compliance officers with the help of the police department. We work very compatible with the police department. We coordinate with them frequently on not just parking stuff, but even just code compliance issues in general. So we have a great working relationship with them. So I think it'll be both of us working on that. But it feels like it would fit great in our department just because we currently have parking under us.
Okay, any other questions? I don't see any, so, okay, very good. Thank you so much, appreciate
Thanks.
that. So we do have a workshop at 5:30 in regards to the airport, and so we can start that early, I think, without any issues. But obviously, we need the airport here, and he won't be here for a little bit, so we'll go ahead and break for now, and then reconvene approximately around 5:30 for that. Or Robin can keep talking if you wish, so. Okay, so we'll end that workshop and begin the next one shortly. workshop, so it is 5:30. This is regarding the Caldwell Executive Airport strategic planning process. So with that, we'll turn it over to our Director of Aviation, Mr. Scott Swanson. Looks like he's trying to wrangle a few of you people in the back to maybe say a few things.
How do you go back? All right, there we go. All right, it is 5:30. I am Scott Swanson, the Director of Aviation for the City of Caldwell, and this is a workshop just to informational discussion on what I plan on doing along with the Airport Advisory Board over the next 4 to 5 months through the strategic planning process and how that is going to benefit the airport. And then I will start with a statement that was put together by John on the airport board and approved by Randy. He has seen this. So the Caldwell Executive Airport Board aims to create a strategic plan updated annually by obtaining feedback from the airport stakeholders. The most important issues determined through planning will be focused on each year by the airport staff and the Airport Advisory Board. We have a choice in how we develop the airport going forward, and our FAA mandated 20-year airport master plan is not adequate to guide our development strategy annually. It is crucial we seek feedback from all stakeholders to align how the airport is developed. How the airport is developed will determine whether or not the airport can become revenue neutral. We are asking for strong support from City Council, the Mayor, and the City Economic Development staff in creating the strategic plan. So essentially, what we decided, I think, early last summer, rolling into October, at the meeting we had there as far as the strategic planning process and what that's going to look like. I am utilizing a lot of the instructional documentation from the Transportation Research Board and their involvement with aeronautics and what they produce for aeronautics. So a lot of the diagram that's on the screen right now and a lot of the verbiage I'll speak about here is from the Transportation Research Board and the strategic planning process as it applies to airports and what that does for you long term. So for that, we are going to talk about the benefits and all that stuff. So the main thing we're looking for is the biggest economic benefit that the airport can have for the city. And through that, with strategic planning, we're going to be doing that and looking at a multitude of areas on how that's going to look. Obviously, I do have a small spider diagram on the screen right now. It talks about benefits of strategic planning in the airport industry. And then, so we're looking to facilitate decision-making, provide airport blueprint and guidance policies, bring order to the organization, long-term focus, assist in the creation of performance metrics, and integrates performance evaluations with common sense objectives. And the end state of this on the board and my staff side is going to be leading to efficiency. And then the outcome of all this is going to be, it's going to enable airport management to examine the bold initiative strategies and also alternatives. It's going to create blueprints for prioritizing projects, help communicate mission and goals, and help obtain stakeholder buy-in on specific development and other airport initiatives. So what we're going to do on this is we already have 4 meetings scheduled internally with the airport board that we're going to put information out for the community. The first one occurring on January 30th, and then the follow-up, I believe, is on February 6th, just the next week. And so this, what's on the screen right now is the email that I'm going to put together to send out to all the users on the airport, just kind of explaining the who, why, what, when, and where of what we're doing with this planning process. So this one is going to be Thursday, February 27th. The one for the 30th and the 6th look near identical. Essentially 4-hour sessions each of those days. just to hear the feedback. And the feedback we're looking for, let's go to the next, is, I hope everybody can see this, but this is the strategic planning feedback form, much of the same you would see for any sort of mass survey that would get sent out. Surveys, obviously, we know are used to get our feedback from a large group of people instead of just holding a meeting to get that feedback. So what I want to do is much like planning and zoning did with the comprehensive plan and the workshops that they did over in a Hubler terminal. I'm going to do the same thing, just focused on the airport. And so this is going to go into asking about strategic issues. So our airport lacks project ready physical infrastructure in order to allow more aviation-related business manufacturing companies to relocate to our airport. And what we're really talking about there is the north side. Like, how are we going to get $3 million to put the infrastructure in on the north side of the airport? What does that look like? What do we need to do? Do we need to change anything? Do we need to relook at anything on how we're doing right now? Because right now we only have a finite set of revenue sources on the airport, and none of those are going to get to the point where they need to be right now to fund the type of projects we're looking at trying to fund in the future. But we want to get the feedback of person, like strategic issues, like what the airport is doing well, what can we improve on, and what should the airport be working on right now. And then focusing that on strategic. Tactical issues, which would be a whole nother workshop probably toward the end of this year, I foresee, is going to be, like example here, ensure all the porta potties are cleaned, everything works there, there's toilet paper, hand sanitizer, all that stuff. You know, do you have a wash rack on the airport? Those are all like tactical use issues. Strategic wise, it's, you know, we got to find those big things that are going to bring things back to the airport and obviously be the catalyst that's going to attract more and more to the airport so we don't run into revenue strangleholds in the future. All right, if everybody can see this, so this is kind of just a strategic plan, communications plan. This is probably 70% draft form. Myself and John are going to be going back and forth on this a lot over the next couple weeks and through our workshop as we move forward. But you can see, like, we have separated stakeholders into 4 different categories. We have inform, consult, accountable, and responsible. And what I want to start with on here is like responsible. With that, anything that fails to happen or not happen on the airport ultimately comes back to myself. Like I answer those questions. Those are my fault no matter who does it. Like if it doesn't happen, my fault. If it happens, kudos, brownie points. Accountable would be pilot, state leadership, city council, city of Caldwell departments that assist with generating economic growth within the airport. Consult is going to be taxpayers, residential, taxpayers, business, Idaho Aviation Association, the Caldwell Chamber, and non-city economic development agencies. When we look at that, we know the state of Idaho has its own economic development agency, so we do plan on reaching out to them either through Steve and Ophelia with economic development or just through ourselves setting up meetings, see what they've been looking at, what they expect to see over the next 5 to 10 years coming into the area and how growth is planned off of that. The inform is going to be all the taxpayers, residential and business in Canyon County, and then the FAA Airports District Office. So the biggest ones on this I see are going to be accountable and responsible. So we got to find a way to get out, reach everybody, talk to all these people, including like the governor's office, congressional representation, state senators, and everything else, and figure out just how important is the airport in Caldwell to the state of Idaho. And that's what's going to happen through this planning process, and then what their feelings are all the way out in Washington, D.C. on the use of this airport, because the Helena Airport District Office, which is underneath Consult, is great. They are very knowledgeable at what they do. They are very good at telling you whether or not that is in or out of regulation when you do it. But outside of that, they are not an entity that is set up to help you grow your airport in a way economic-wise. They will grow your airport on a horizontal surface-wise via AIP, BIL funding and putting in pavement and other things of that nature. However, the big picture on the revenue generation, everything else does not come from them. That's going to be from the state and then also stakeholders on the airport, and whoever we can reach out to at whatever point to start dragging people in here. And then what I foresee and what I would really like to do is get as many people involved in this as possible with legitimate comments, legitimate ideas, and things that are going to work. Since I started here a year and a half ago, I have heard, obviously, one, we don't have a restaurant, we don't own our own gas, we don't have landing fees, we don't have a wash rack, which is, I mean, I understand it, it's just a situation we're in. And so through this planning process, we're going to take where we are, look at where we need to go as an airport to support everything that everybody wants, and then how we're going to get there. And that is primarily the basis of this strategic plan. And so right now we have 4 workshops set up, and another strategic meeting set up, and then planning, and then writing. And then I would expect to see a strategic plan presented to council, which I'm going to be looking for almost an acceptance at council via resolution for the plan itself, probably come May timeframe, because I'm going to have to coincide that with the budget and how that looks for 2026, and as long as that meets the plan, then it goes forward that way, and that's kind of how I want to run it year over year at the airport with the help of the board and everything else. But that's kind of what I'm doing and how I'm moving forward on this, and this workshop is to let you guys know that this is what we plan on doing, and then I have John and Randy here from the airport board to just either as support or questions as needed, so.
Thank you so much. Councilor Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Scott, I continue to be appreciative and impressed with the job you're doing out there. You have not disappointed us in stepping into this role, and I thank you for that. Stay there, but John, can I ask you to come up? Randy, you come up all the time, so I don't want you right now, but, I mean, you'll probably be up here before this is over, and it'll be entertaining at least. John, as I said to you just a moment ago, you're a great addition to this board. Is this the first time you've ever done a strategic planning for anything?
No.
So why don't you, and I knew the answer to that, but why don't you share with us a little bit of your background and your expertise? Because you and Scott together are helping Randy, who's the chairman on the board, really guide this thing. And our board right now is as good as I've ever seen it. And you're part of that. So help this board understand how you're helping Scott drive this.
Sure. John Crydell, I'm a resident of Eagle, but I'm also an airport taxpayer, hangar owner, and pilot. Also happen to be a retired CEO. Been in the Treasure Valley, my second stint in Idaho, for about 3 years now. So I do have a vested interest in this long-term success of the airport. And so I met with Mayor Wagner a year ago, and we talked extensively about the future, not only of Caldwell, but the impact that the airport can have on the area, especially economic impact. And I think, as I said to the mayor, taxing my memory, I said we're sitting on a jewel from my perspective. You know, I'm not saying this to brag, but I've ran many companies, some as large as 400 million a year, and strategy is critical. So, Jeff, or Councilor Williams, you have been, over the last year, very helpful in getting someone like myself who wants things to happen like now, understand the process. So I'm formally trained in strategic planning. It's different in business than it is in government. However, the same principles apply. I've either facilitated or been involved in strategic plans in probably 50 companies in my career. I'm also, as I mentioned, formally trained in business planning. The city sits on an incredible asset, And one of the things that you've charged us with is to be revenue neutral. Given we have a 20-year FAA plan that the city paid for, it's about 2 inches thick. The FAA requires that we update that every
10 years.
10 years. So we look at that, and it was done by civil engineers. They did a great job. But as we go through our annual planning process, it's my belief that we need a strategic plan to marry up with a budget so that you guys know exactly what we're doing. But most importantly, we're involving all of the stakeholders, both local and state, and bring them together. Now, they may not all agree on the final issues that we agree to work on, but the key is that we ask and we seek their feedback. And so one of the reasons we wanted to come before you is to make sure we had your support, make sure we had the support of the economic development staff, and we'll reach out to others to make sure that what we're doing now can we're either going to make some bad decisions because we've only got a finite piece of land out there. And how we develop it is going to make a big difference in the economic impact, what kind of businesses we potentially could bring in. So that's the reason I'm volunteering my time.
Thank you.
So hopefully that wasn't too long.
Perfect. Any other questions? Councilor Stoddard?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Being as you have a lot of experience as a CEO and business background, would you agree with these 5-point formulas for successful business? And I'll name them off to you. Will it simplify the business? Will it create process efficiencies? Will it deliver an acceptable return? Will the results be low cost, high value? Last, can we execute it flawlessly? I'd be happy to give you a copy of that if you want it, but
Sure. I'd take a copy, and I would agree those are good principles.
it's yours.
Okay, very good. Any other questions or comments? Councilor Register?
The February 27th meeting was at 8 a.m., is that correct?
Yes. I believe so.
I just missed
The 8
time.
a.m. meeting, I believe, is February 27th.
Okay.
Thank
It's
you.
8 to 12, and there's only one of those.
Okay, February 27th, 8
Yeah.
a.m.
And those are we're going to invite the key stakeholders, not just the city representatives, obviously, city council, mayor would love to have you there. But that's 4 hours, and I call that one the meat and potatoes work. We're identifying the key issues. And hopefully we get some people from the state involved as well. Good
Perfect.
question.
Okay, I don't see any other questions, so thank you so much for being here. Thank you
Okay.
so much, Randy, you're off the hook tonight. We're not gonna bring you up at this time, so. Okay, and that concludes our workshops for this evening. Again, those workshops are just discussion only, no, decisions made. And that will end these, and we'll be back at 6 p.m. to begin our regularly scheduled city council